There are two things that control the quality of your life, and those two things are meaning and emotion. So firstly, understand this. The way reality works is that everything is neutral. There is no built-in meaning. It is you that gives things meaning. So I'll give you a couple of examples so you can understand what I mean. So let's say we have someone that lives in an area where it rains a lot, and they're just so sick of the rain because it's always raining and it's always so wet and cold, and they're just sick of it. So the meaning that they give to rain is negative. Now let's say we have someone that lives in a dry area where it hardly ever rains. So when it finally does rain, they're like, yes, we finally have rain. They're so happy. So the meaning that they give rain is positive. Let's say dogs, for example. Some people love dogs. They think dogs are just so cute and cuddly, and they're loyal and they guard the property. So the meaning that they give to dogs is positive. And then some people don't like dogs because they're all slobbery and they're hairy and they put their fur all over the furniture. So the meaning that they give to dogs is negative. So the meaning that you give things controls the emotions that you feel. So if you give things a negative meaning, you're going to feel a negative emotion. However, if you give things a positive meaning, you will feel a positive emotion. So when you change the meaning that you give things, you change your emotion. Let's say you change the meaning from negative to positive, you'll go from a negative emotion to a positive emotion. And so we have what's called the reframe technique. And the reframe technique is where you reframe things. You're changing the meanings. And it's like you can use it as a way to heal yourself from your past. You can look at the past negative situations that have happened. And so normally when a negative situation happens to us, it's very easy for us to have a victim mindset and give it a negative meaning, which therefore gives us negative emotions. So you can revisit these negative events from the past and change the negative meaning to a positive one. So you could do that by looking for the lesson. How did this experience serve you? What did you learn from it? And when you look for the lesson or what you learned from it, you're like, well, I got this out of that situation. You can then change the meaning from a negative one to a positive one. And as you do that, you shift your emotional state as well. And you don't have to just use it for your past experiences. You can use it in the present moment as well. So for example, let's say your boss changed your hours at work and it upset you and you gave it a negative meaning. And you're like, I just wish I had my original hours and it doesn't work for me for this reason. So you're upset, you're in a negative emotional state. You go to work in a negative emotional state. It causes conflicts between you and the boss. However, if you look at it and find the positive in it and realize that, well, even though my hours changed, I have this time that I can use for this thing. You know what I mean? Like you look for the positive in the situation, you give it that positive meaning. Well, even though my hours change, I still have the time. I can go and do this thing that I couldn't do because normally I worked at that time. You give it the positive meaning, you feel positive emotions, therefore you can go to work with those positive emotions and not have that conflict with your boss. So I've used the reframe technique as a way to heal myself from my past. And I'll give you a couple of examples of this as well. So I had a kind of like a difficult childhood. I was born into a broken home, abandoned by my dad. He went and lived in another country until I was about 12. I was emotionally abandoned by my mum. I used to get bullied a lot by my older bro. I could go on all day about my childhood, you know what I mean? So I once upon a time gave my childhood a negative meaning and I saw myself as this victim. Like, poor me, why did I have to go through all this crap? But as I got older, I ended up having a spiritual awakening and I realized that spiritual awakenings don't come from an easy life. They don't come from like rainbows and unicorns. A spiritual awakening normally comes from pain and suffering. So I revisited my childhood, changed the negative meaning to a positive one by realizing that it served me. It played a part in me having a spiritual awakening. I wouldn't be awakened to the truth about reality without going through the difficulties that I went through in childhood. So you can see how I revisited it and I changed the meaning, which therefore changes my emotional state. I'll give you another example. I learnt that I had an abandonment wound. I was physically abandoned by my dad and emotionally abandoned by my mum. However, I learnt to, instead of giving it a negative meaning, I learnt to give it a positive meaning by realizing that even though it sucked having this abandonment wound and I had to do the work to heal it, I could see how it served me. Having an abandonment wound helped me to become an independent person that doesn't need to rely on others. So because I'm an independent person that can rely on myself, it means that I can be picky with relationships. I'm not needy for people. I can be picky with my friendships. I can be picky with who I have around me because I'm not needy for people and don't rely on them. So you see what I mean? The reframe technique is a powerful tool to use to heal yourself and let go of things so that you can change your emotional state to be more positive. Now, when you change your emotions, you also change your vibrational frequency because emotion stands for energy in motion. So if you're always embodying these negative sorts of emotions and you decide to change the meaning, which changes your emotion to a positive one, you're then changing the vibrational frequency to be a positive vibrational frequency. Now, the way the law of attraction works is whatever frequency you're tuned into is the reflection that you get back in your reality. Like attracts like. So if you're tuning into the negative low vibe frequencies and you spend most of your time there, the reflection you get back in your reality is going to be more negativity. You're going to keep manifesting negativity. And so when you start learning to change the meaning and change the emotion to be more positive, you change your vibrational frequency to be more positive, you will then experience a much more positive reality because like attracts like. If you're vibrating on these frequencies, that's the reflection you're going to be getting back in your reality. And the other thing is your emotional state also controls your thoughts, your behaviors, and your actions. So if you have a negative emotional state, that's going to fuel you to have negative thoughts, which therefore means you'll have negative actions and behaviors. Whereas if you have a positive emotional state, you'll have positive thoughts, you'll have positive actions and behaviors. So the key to life is controlling meaning and emotion. I hope you like this video, guys. If you got some sort of value out of it, let me know by hitting the like button or write a comment. And if you like this sort of content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you can be notified when I drop a video. Have an awesome day. Peace.